What's going on, guys? Before we kick this video off, I want to give a huge shout out and thanks to the folks over at SimpliSafe for sponsoring this video. SimpliSafe is an incredibly effective, reliable home security system that'll make sure your home is safe. If you've been feeling worried about safety but putting off dealing with it, you don't have to wait another minute. SimpliSafe makes it really easy to secure your home. Just order it online or over the phone. It's delivered right to your home and you can set it up yourself in less than an hour. From there, your home is professionally monitored 24/7. If anything happens, they'll make sure the police get called. They've got sensors to cover every window, room, door, plus a lot of extras like water sensors, temperature sensors, and HD cameras. It's all really easy to use, and you get around-the-clock protection for about 50 cents a day with no contracts. Plus, they've also been ranked Best Overall Home Security from US News & World Report for 2020. Now, this was a really easy decision to make because I'm actually a SimpliSafe customer. I have 3 SimpliSafe systems on various properties we have, including our home. I actually pulled this one out of the ground so I could show you. We've been using a ton of their equipment, and it is really reliable, and we've never had a problem with it. I have their high-definition cameras in my garage, as well as their sensors on all our doors. And we even use their keyless entry deadbolt, which is really cool. It has a really convenient touchpad right here so you can unlock and lock your door. And another cool thing is that all the keypads and sensors are wireless, so we didn't have to worry about replacing this keypad and having to wire a new one in. So we have one here, we got one right here, another one right here, more sensors. We have a glass break sensor, motion detector camera right there, another camera right there, another sensor right there. We have the base station right here. And in our restrooms, we actually use these water sensors. So if it detects a water leak, it will notify us and set off our water detection with the SimpliSafe system. Everything is really, really easy to add. So yeah, we've been very happy with our SimpliSafe home security system. And again, we have several of these systems and they've all worked really well. We even set our daughter up with the SimpliSafe system in her apartment. So we definitely trust this service. If you click on the link in the description or go to simplisafe.com/BTBRV, that lets them know that you saw it through my channel. So appreciate it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a product that I purchased on Amazon. This is something I picked up about a year ago, I think, and I've found a ton of use with it, and I figured this is something you all might like as well, especially if you tow a fifth wheel or you have a fifth wheel hitch that you keep in the bed of your truck. Now, as you all probably imagine, when I'm doing product reviews or I'm going out and filming, sometimes I have to carry gear with me. And the problem with just setting that gear in the bed of your truck is that it tends to slide around, even with the bed rug in the back. You know, there are certain items, certain things I review, certain equipment that will just slide all over the place. And I really wanted some means of somewhat securing it, or at least keeping it from sliding around whenever I'm driving around. And this truck doesn't have the smoothest ride, so you know, you tend to get a bit of movement. So I scoured Amazon looking for something that I thought would work well, but it had to be the right dimensions to fit in the bed while at the same time not interfering with things that I might have in the bed. And I found this product on Amazon. This is made by a company called Buckhorn. They call it a plastic straight wall storage tote. And the dimensions on it are 48 inches long, or I guess from the back here, 48 inches wide, 15 inches deep, and 7.5 inches tall. So it takes up a relatively small footprint in the bed of your truck, yet it's still 4 feet wide, right, and 15 inches long. So there's a lot of functionality with this. Now, I've made some changes to it. The changes I've made are I drilled these holes in the bottom of it. Got a ton of holes just all throughout the bottom of it, and that's in case, you know, my bed cover leaks and it's not perfectly sealed, water gets into it, or if something in the back has water, it can just drain out of these holes and not just collect or stand inside of this tote. The second thing I did was I added a bunch of these really short 1/2-inch screws around it, and if you look at the bottom side, you can see that they stick out the bottom just a little bit. And the entire point behind that is that it catches the bed rug and it prevents it from sliding around. So this container runs about $55. That price has definitely gone up and down over the last year. It gets as high as about $60, but $55 seems to be where it's stuck the longest. And in my opinion, for what it is and what it's designed to do, it works really, really well. Now, if you get other products from them, I believe they're stackable, and you can use this in more of a, you know, commercial environment if you're using them inside of a warehouse or something like that, because that's really what its intended purpose is. But for me, believe it or not, finding something like this is really quite difficult. You can always get storage bins and stuff like that from Lowe's or Walmart or Home Depot, and you can try to use those. The problem is they're relatively cheaply constructed, so they fall apart really easy. They don't have these really nice straight edges to them. They don't give you that low profile look that you may be looking for, and quite frankly, any type of slope to the inner edge really takes away from what you can store in here. For me, this works really good. And if I take a couple of these little screws out, it gives me the ability to slide it. Well, right now, even with them in, I can move it. It's just much more difficult, which is really good for me, because if I set this in the bed of my truck, it's lightweight. I can put stuff inside of it. It's not going to rotate or move on me, and it just really comes in handy. But the way I generally use this is I'll set it right here at the end of my bed. I can take things like toe straps, throw them inside if I go to the grocery store and I'm picking up groceries. If I'm going to Lowe's or Home Depot and I have a bag full of stuff, I can set it inside of here. It's just really, really convenient. And when it's right here at the back of your truck, it's not sliding around, and it gives you direct access to whatever you need right when you open up the tailgate. I actually just had this loaded up with a bunch of stuff I picked up at Lowe's. I emptied it out and I took it and I threw it over the fence in my backyard where I typically keep it. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I should show you guys how I do this, because this is really convenient, especially if you don't want to be jumping in the bed of your truck to go retrieve something that might have slid all the way up to the front. This is really where something like this comes in handy. Again, if you use your truck as your everyday vehicle and you're going to, you know, Walmart, or you're going to pick up groceries and you just need a really convenient area to put that stuff when you get home, this acts really like a great trunk, and it's very convenient. So, you know, at $55, it's a little pricey for what it is, but I don't think it's outrageous, especially considering it's very well constructed. It doesn't have that home decor style look to it. It has more of kind of an industrial look to it. It doesn't have a cover, so keep that in mind. If you need something that covers up and protects that area, this isn't going to be that solution. However, if you have a fifth wheel hitch or gooseball and you don't have a tremendous amount of room and you don't want to take up that area, especially where your trailer might couple and where it moves up and down, you don't want something protruding up into that space, this really works great. And again, it's super lightweight, and if you have this loaded up with stuff and you have a helper, you could pick it up from the handle on each side and carry it into the house. You know, if you have wide enough arms, you can just do it right here, stand right here and carry what you need. I drilled the holes. You don't have to do it if your bed cover is sealed well enough. You know, this is just something that's optional. But for me, having the drain holes made a lot of sense, especially because I keep it in my backyard when I'm not using it. So if it rains and fills up with water, it just drains out. And I'm just really happy with it. You know, it's such a simple thing. And it's a relatively hard thing to find. That's kind of the key behind it. I'm a big fan of the DeWalt toolboxes and things that I have, but they don't make anything like this, especially in this width. So I can pretty much carry anything I would need to carry in here. That is not something I'd normally want to set inside of the bed of the truck, just in case it moves around and shifts. So just something to think about. It's got a nice little lip around the edge here, so if you have to use some bungee cords or something to secure something to it, or if you want to run one across each end, you can do that. You know, you can take it out as much as you need. You can leave it outside if you need to. You know, it's not going to break down. This thing's, again, lasted a year, and you can just tell by looking at the bottom of it. I've had hitches, I've had hitch balls, I have things that are very, very heavy that have sat inside of this, and it's not cracked, and it's been working really well. Oh, and something else that's really cool about it is it fits right in the back of my wife's Expedition. No problem at all, and you can still close the back hatch if you want. So I don't need to use this net to keep things secured in here. We can just move this in here. This is great if you have, again, groceries and things like that that you're throwing in the back. You don't want them falling out the minute you open up the back tailgate. And if I drop the seats down right here, I can move this all the way to the front, and I can also put some more permanent things in here. Again, it's such a basic item, and really one of those things you don't think about a lot until you realize that sometimes it's a pain in the butt to hold things where you want them whenever you're traveling. They all bounce around, they fly all over the place, whether or not they're fuel cans, whether or not, you know, it's groceries, whether or not it's hardware or parts or emergency equipment. You know, if you want to put your tire chocks in here, that was a big one that we used it for whenever we travel with the RV. If you want to put a small air compressor, it just gives you the ability to do that with a, you know, storage system that's well built, relatively inexpensive, and at the end of the day, very, very easy to remove. So that's probably the other really big factor when it comes to something like this. I can pick it up with one hand, I can take it out, and then I can throw it back in when I need to use it. And it doesn't take up a lot of room, again, because it's only about 15 inches deep. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you are interested in something like this, I'll throw the Amazon link in the description of this video. But I get a lot of use out of this, and some people have asked me every time I open up my tailgate, if they're around me, they're like, what is that? Where did you get that? So I figured if a few people wanted to know about it, maybe more people did. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.